Hi everyone, Dr. Melissa here, and I am so excited to share about the next 40 minutes with you to really give you some powerful tools that you can take into 2020 and beyond that will absolutely support you in moving from vision to full impact in your business as well as your life. So thank you so much for joining. Depending on where you're seeing this, we're broadcasting this out at the end of the year on several different platforms. So thank you for tuning in. Just quickly to make sure you're in the right place and that you want to keep watching, this is really going to be geared for any type of doctor, coach, healer, health or wellness leader, expert that's out there working with clients to up-level their health, their well-being, their life. So if that's you, this is for you, so keep watching. I'm really glad you're here. I'm going to actually kind of make my video a little smaller. I'm going to get right into sharing the slide deck with you all, and let's talk about what is going to be possible for you in your business in 2020 and beyond. Now, before we focus forward, let's go ahead and stop right now. Let's begin within this moment in the here and now. I want to invite you and give you full permission to take a few moments and actually celebrate where you are. I mean, I don't know about you, but I will be the first to say I get way too focus oriented. I'm on to the next, I'm on to the next. I'm always thinking about bigger, better, faster, like what are the ways that we can continue to expand and make this great impact, which is lovely and it comes from a good, well-meaning place. However, often I forget to stop and pause and celebrate the wins, where I'm at in this moment, and everything that has allowed me to get to this moment, both wins and losses. So before we go any further, I'm going to invite you to get out a pen and paper, get a couple of sheets of paper, because I like to refer to this as a working webinar. We're going to actively be working through some concepts and ideas that if you take the time to do them, and ask the questions and write the answers on paper, I promise you it will absolutely have a huge return on your investment of your energy and your time, actually setting you up for success. This webinar is going to give you the clarity, it's going to give you the insight, it's going to, if you allow it, give you the roadmap so that in essence you can kind of get out ahead. You can already set that GPS, you can focus forward. You can already set that intention and that positive momentum so that you can kind of then reverse engineer and have a greater likelihood of achieving and experiencing the outcomes that you desire. So let's talk about what got you here today. If you will, look back over the past year and really take a moment and write down on the paper, write down your wins, write down your accomplishments, your achievements, the moments from this past year that surprised and delighted you. They added value to you. They lifted you up. They were just something that was really, you were like, wow, you may not even have planned it and it occurred. What are some of those? And as you write those down on your paper, then next ask yourself, what did I gain from these? So those wins, those moments, those accomplishments, what did you gain from that? You gained information, you gained awareness, you gained maybe money, you gained value on some level. So take a moment to acknowledge it. And likewise, take a moment to acknowledge what you may have considered before now, your losses, or dare I even say failure. But you and I should both be honest with each other to say there really is no failure. It is truly feedback. But if you were to take a moment and kind of write down those things that you perceived to be losses or failures over this past year, write them down, the things that maybe didn't go to plan, didn't go the way you had hoped. You had to go a whole entirely different path than you expected. Write those down. And next to that, write what you gained from those. Because even in the most challenging of times, even in the most unforeseen moments, life is still happening for us and not to us. It can be hard to remember that in that moment. And that's why perspective, having some time and some space and some distance to look back, well, it does give us that vantage point of just being able to go, wow, because of that, it now opened up this door. It allowed me to have this new awareness, this new experience. This has happened because of that, which was a loss at the moment, but I gained so much from it. So hopefully now you have some appreciation for what this past year has already given you. And you can really celebrate that wholeheartedly, because before we again get into KPIs, before we get into goals, before we get into tactical, practical, I want you to start. I'm going to really throughout this webinar give you an opportunity to anchor up into the frequency, the emotional vibration, or the emotional signature almost, if you will, of what is called in neuro-linguistic psychology as the end state. So you want to be somewhere at the end of 2020. Why? When you are wherever you think you want to be, which we're going to go through here in a few moments, maybe it's more money, maybe you're going to have traveled, maybe you're going to start in new markets, maybe you're going to, go back to school and you're going to learn a whole new skill set. There are things that you want to do. Maybe you want to start a family, maybe your kids are off to college and you're going to be an empty nester. And, there's all sorts of things that could happen in 2020 that you're already consciously dropping into kind of your thoughts of, what do I want to experience? Well, we can experience an action, yet it creates an outcome of how you end up feeling, right, because of it. So let's already go to these things that you've accomplished over this past year, and I want you just to tell me how they're feeling for you. All these accomplishments, all these wins, all these moments, all these gains, and now let's start from that place. That's positive momentum, if you will. Momentum is the name of the game. Where we're going to go over the rest of this webinar is helping you to stay tracked in to this state of appreciation, this state of visioning, this state of outcomes, this state of knowing where you're going, have the certainty, the clarity, and the confidence. That produces the outcomes, that expands how you are experiencing and expressing your life and showing up in your business for the clients that you serve. So start with the outcome. And now we're here, and we're going to ride this wave into 2020. You're hopefully in a really great place of feeling accomplished. And I'm going to remind you that all the things over this past year have happened for you, not to you. And now as you go into 2020, which is about to be really big on so many levels, then we want to thank the past, because now it's our springboard into our future, right? So as you're feeling all the good accomplishments and the wins and the gains from this past year, now I want to invite you to just ask yourself the question, great, what do I want more of? What do I want? What were the wins and the accomplishments from this past year? Yes, more of that, please. More wins, more accomplishments, more delightful surprises, more opportunities, bigger stages, bigger, maybe it's bigger. For some of you, you may want more, even more clients. You might want to go out and make a greater reach and touch more lives. Maybe you've been going big and you've been touching so many lives that you're like, I want some free time. I want to systematize. I want to automate. I want to be able to leverage things I've already done, and I want to have some more flexibility. I want to spend some time on some learning new skill sets or new hobbies or going back to school, or maybe you want to simplify, right? So what do you want? So we're going to build off of this past year, off of all the things that are already going really well. And we're going to say, yes, please, more of that, more of that. Success leaves clues. So going into this next year, it's not about starting from scratch. It's not about like stressing out and trying to put in a step-by-step plan. We are going to get to some very specific elements that will allow you to fill in a plan. But right now, you don't have to worry about a plan. I just want you to really have fun saying, what's my vision? What do I really want? What are the outcomes? What are the feelings I want to feel more often, more consistently? What is the contribution that I want to show up and participate in every day? What is already working? What is already going well? What are the achievements I've experienced? What are the gains I have experienced in my life? That's what we want to build upon. So we want to build upon what's working. And when we talk about this in business terms, the easiest way to know what's working is just to run your numbers. Look at the data, right? So look at the data. And for many of you watching, a lot of the coaches that I work with, a lot of the docs are in the health optimization lane. And so we do a lot with wearable devices. Mine is charging right now. We do a lot with wearable technology, and we do a ton with tracking biometrics and different biomarkers, because the data shows us how the human system is responding real time, and it informs right? It informs what strategies and protocols we're going to recommend to build upon or to reduce and remove. So the more information you have, then the better decisions and choices you can make. And when that comes to your business, it's all about running your numbers. So already look at your books. Just run it. See where you're generating profits. See where you're experiencing losses. What if you have multiple services under one roof? What are the services that you render the most? What are the services that you render the least? Where do you have the greatest bookings? Where do you have the greatest cancellations? All of this is information that's going to kind of come into this pot of how to plan for 2020 to be your most successful year yet. Okay, so when you think about kind of what's working, and as we go through this, from a business strategy, you can think about, where can we create or enhance a greater efficiency? What systems are really working? Are there places that we can cut costs? Are there places that we, are working really well and we want to add more of that into what we're already offering? So these are just important questions right now as you're thinking about what is my 2020 vision. That's just allowing your brain to have a few different ways to look at what's possible for you, what is in your heart, what's on your mind. And now let's put it on paper. So there's a process that really helps you to kind of just unlock that information that's stored within you at a very unconscious level. So the less that we can make this a conscious process, the more we can just kind of tap into your inner resources, those deeper drives, the truer insight you're going to be able to take away from this. So if you just get a blank sheet of paper, do I have a blank sheet next to me? I do not have a blank sheet. So it can be a notebook, like you see here in this picture. It could just be a plain sheet of white paper. You just get a pen or colored markers, and in the center, you're going to do a circle. And in the center, you're going to ask a really important question. And then you're going to give yourself permission, free of judgment, okay, free of analysis, to let whatever pops into your brain to go onto that paper. And it's really good to set a little timer, do this for about 3, no more than 5 minutes. And the question that you should ask, what are the outcomes that I want in 2020? What do I want to experience more of in 2020? So again, ask it a few different ways, whatever resonates with you, but it could be as simple as, what do I want to experience more of in my business in 2020? It could be a bit more general. What do I want to experience more of in 2020? So this exercise could be both business, it could be personal, it could be health, it could be relationships. So we are talking through the lens of business on this webinar. This process works in any facet of your life. So what do I want to experience more of in 2020? What are the outcomes? What are the outcomes that I want to experience, that I want to achieve, that I want to participate in 2020? So at this point, just pause if you're watching the replay and really ask this question. As you're listening to me, immediately start to write on the paper. Get some things down. We're going to move to the next slide. We're going to keep building on this momentum. What do you want in 2020? And I'm going to give you a really powerful way. Keep watching after you do this exercise, because I'm going to help you to understand how to organize all your different hopes and dreams and aspirations and visions and actions and tactical objectives and strategic planning. We're going to do all of it. We're going to go from out big to the big outcome in here into the tactical practical, right? We're going to align, and we're going to allow ourselves to then know how to implement this stuff so that you're actually going to achieve what you want to achieve in 2020. So keep staying with us here on this webinar. So when you begin to ask yourself, what do I want, right? Here's an interesting thing that happens. When you say, what do I want? What you immediately notice is, well, this is what I want to achieve by the end of 2020, which is out ahead of us. If we were to think of it kind of in the spatial relationship, it's not here in this moment. And so immediately when we know what we want, and if it's different than what we've already got, it can sometimes create an illusion or a sense of lack. Well, I don't have that yet. I want that. And if we come from a place of lack or resistance, or how do I get there, that's not the outcome, right? Because think about this. What you want at the end of 2020 is more of what's already working, more of those accomplishments, more of those wins, more of those gains, more of that fullness and abundance and prosperity and meaning and value and respect and appreciation and gratitude and all that great stuff, right? You want to feel more of that. You want to say yes, please, to more of that. So listen. You're here, you want to be here at the end of 2020. and there's a gap, and that's okay. This is part of your process of evolving, evolving your business, evolving your vision, evolving what is possible for you and the impact and the contribution you are here to make in the world. So there's a little gap. So this is the really important question I just want you to consider for yourself. Who do you need to be? Who do you need to be to accomplish what you want to accomplish by the end of 2020? Now, when you ask yourself this question, please know it doesn't imply that you're not being somebody spectacular and amazing already. You are spectacular. You are amazing. You are showing up and giving and loving and serving and absolutely making a positive difference in the world. And that's to be commended. And I want you to celebrate that and own that. Yet, if you want to be somewhere different than where you are in this moment, things are great, and you can stop watching this right now. If you're like, I don't want anything different than what I've got right now, awesome. Then you are done. Go map that, and you're awesome, and I want to bring you on as a guest. Yet if you are wanting something more, which is the process of evolution, getting life is change, life is growth, life is expansion. So often we always feel an inner drive to kind of want to do more, go more, expand more, create more. We're driven as human beings to create and to desire more than what is. So it's natural. This call to be somewhere different at the end of 2020 is natural. So embrace it and just say, great, what of me, what of who I already am, do I, again, what's working? What are your strengths? What are your skill sets that are creating amazing outcomes? And if you see a gap, so let's pretend that you want to write a book by the end of 2020. Who do you need to become? Who do you need to be to accomplish this? And perhaps you need to say, well, I need to be a writer. Maybe you've never identified with yourself as a writer. Do you get what I'm saying? Well, what does the writer mean? What does that version of me, what does that require? What would that look like? What would that feel like? What would the writer me? What would I be doing, right? That maybe I'm not doing now, or maybe I would do differently or do more of or less of than I'm doing now. So it's just a really interesting question that we get to ask ourselves. So if you're not identifying as being a writer now, and yet you desire to be a writer and have a book by the end of 2020, then you might be going, great, okay, so if I need to be a writer and I really am committed to doing this, then how do I align with this? Well, maybe you're going to go watch a master class on writing, right? Maybe you're going to do a quick little workshop on that. Maybe you're just going to dedicate time every day to starting to write that you're not already doing. You get what I'm saying? So that's really what the point of this particular question is. So right now, what's on your paper? You should have a mind map, and you should be asking yourself, what do I want to achieve? What do I want in 2020? Simply stated, what do I want? What do I want to achieve? What do I want to do? What do I want to experience in 2020? And then as you start to get that, you get to say, great, out of all this really cool stuff, like as I'm doing all this, how am I going to be feeling? And who do I need to be to accomplish this? Bring those inner resources. This is where you begin to identify your own inner superpowers. Now, in case you and I have not met, I'm just going to take a moment. You've come this far. If you're still watching, thank you. You may be going, who is this woman? My name is Melissa, Dr. Melissa Peterson. For more than 20 years, I've been, actually almost like 30 years, I've been in the health and the wellness space. For more than 20 years, I've been a doctor of chiropractic, a doctor of natural medicine. I have been, for 30 years, nutritionist, personal trainer. I started dancing when I was 2 years old, so there's kind of this long story of how I came to where I am today. But from a very young age, I was involved in health and wellness and movement and expression. I was living a holistic and organic, a very integrative life before it was a thing, before it had a name, before it was trends. And, and I found my way to, long story short, found my way to chiropractic school, that love of dance. I had been dancing, found myself on the #1 rated show on television, and I was kind of juggling being this professional doctor and being a television personality on a live television show that traveled across the country every month. And it really created like this, I almost felt like it was two separate people coming back after that television show ended. We did that for a couple of years. And after that television show ended, and I came back into really being in my practice, I began to, all of a sudden it was time to cast a new vision. It was time to identify and understand myself in new ways that I hadn't everything had been happening so fast. I literally graduated and I was on television and I was running a business and it was like boom, 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 boom. And now all of a sudden everything stopped. And the first thing I did was exactly what we're doing right now. I sat down and I mind mapped. And I started to ask myself questions about what was in my heart, what was my vision, what did I want? And that put me on the path more than, well, literally at this point, a little less than 20 years ago, probably 17 years ago, put me on the path to knowing that I wanted to go out and make this larger impact, more than one-to-one, but one-to-many. And what did that look like? And so over the years, both as a doctor, as I was having success in my own practice, leveraging media, leveraging television, leveraging the virtual space, adopting that early, kind of going into some aspects of a virtual practice, I had other docs and coaches coming to me saying, how do we do what you do? So I started to consult with my peers. I started to create digital programs and workshops and retreats and mastermind groups while still seeing clients. And then through that evolution, then I really kind of, I left practice. I retired, if you will, from actively seeing people in the day-to-day environment because I had so many of my peers saying, hey. And at the same time, I also had an amazing relationship come to me with Apiron Zoe, Apiron Academy, to build this vision of really being able to impact lives globally, starting with doctors and coaches and healers and health and wellness leaders like yourself. So we certify epigenetic precision performance coaches. I'm the executive director of that academy. I am the CEO over at Practice Impact Masters, and everything that I do peer-to-peer is about pouring into you and supporting you with the tools, the training, and the resources so that you can rapidly up-level your business. You got to have a healthy business. You can be the best, most amazing clinician, coach, doctor in the world. Yet if your business isn't well, right, you're going to be short-lived with the impact, the scalability, and the impact you're going to be able to make. So business is essential. And then with the business becomes, in today's space, how do I message that? How do I market that? How do I get myself out there, since many of us don't get much from insurance anymore? And so my point to you, I'll wrap this up to say, is that the reason I'm doing this is this time of year, I think it's so important. It's a natural time that we get to connect with what is our vision, what opportunities exist in our current business model that we can leverage to really be strategic and focused going into the next year, setting ourselves up for greater success. We keep doing what we're doing, we're going to keep getting more of what we've got. But it's the moment that we intentionally show up differently with an enhanced state of awareness around the outcomes. Now we've got a better chance of winning, right? And I'm going to talk to you about how we keep score, how we figure this out, how we move forward as health and wellness leaders to really achieve something greater than we've ever done before, individually and collectively. So today, I do still see a small amount of clients, and as far as on a one-on-one, but most of the work that I do is virtual, with virtual groups and my masterminds. I do it both with B2B, with my peer-to-peer like yourself, and I also have a whole facet of what I do kind of B2C out with the consumer base. And so I just want to share the knowledge I have. Any way I can be of service to you, I want to be of service to you. And in fact, one of the things I want to let you know is that you're able, let me see if I've got it right here. So, well, we'll come back to that. So let's get back to you. Okay, so enough about me. Hi, I'm here. I'm Melissa. I'm a doc like you. I'm a coach like you. I've been in this for a long time, and I know how to leverage all these tools. I've worked with every type of practitioner out there in the health and wellness space, and success always leaves clues. So all I want to do is boil down all the best practices in the remainder of this webinar to just give them to you. I just want you to have them so that you can implement them and make 2020 your greatest year of impact. Okay, so you now have your mind map. You have lots of stuff hopefully on that mind map, and you've put all of your wants, you've put all of your goals, you've put all of your aspirations and all the outcomes that you want to experience. Awesome. Now you can group them. So if you take a moment and you look at everything you wrote, you're going to now see that there are probably some themes or categories, if you will, almost like chapters of a book, if you were going to do it that way. But I really want you to categorize them into themes. So is there something around what you're doing that would fall into the category, for example, of marketing? Or is there something that, some of the things that would fall into the category of self-care? Are there things that would fall into the category of automation or efficiency or profitability, right? So you're going to start to see some natural themes present. So take time right now and just kind of lump things into categories. Number them if you want, put them on a separate sheet of paper, but give yourself some organization of where all of those wants and desires and actions and outcomes, how they fit into a few nice, neat buckets, okay? Now, again, pause this if you need to actually do what I'm asking you to do. So now you've got some buckets. You've got your mind map. You've organized into some themes or to some buckets. And now you're going, great, Melissa, I've got a lot of stuff on a sheet of paper. So where's that going to get me in 2020? Okay, what we're about to do is now we're going to move into tactical practical. So how do we go from vision, this beautiful vision, this very high vibe, all about the outcomes, yes please, to more of the wins and the gains and the accomplishments and the abundance and the prosperity and the positive impact and the lives changed and the lives helped and all of that, right? Yes please, more of that. How do we do it? How do we do it? Oftentimes, this is where we get in our own way. We go from this beautiful, really feel-good vision, and then we want to get into all the minutia, 20, 30 steps out. And here's the good news. What I'm about to share with you is going to give you a really simple tool that allows you to stay in that, yes, please, more of the wins, more of the abundance, more of the great people that I can help and serve, that you can stay aligned with that, and a real simple process on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis that allows you to just have a simple scorecard of, am I aligned with the few key actions that will absolutely ensure I achieve those outcomes? So you don't have to write a super detailed strategic business plan. If you want to, if you've got literally 100 things you want to accomplish this next year, okay, we can, you can, but before we get into that level of detail, we're going to start to chunk things down. We're big on vision, and now we want to chunk down, and you have some buckets. So I want to task you to see, out of the multiple themes or categories or buckets that you've just put down from your mind map, could you take them down into three main themes? Three main themes for 2020. Maybe one of your themes is that you want to learn something new. Maybe it's, maybe again, a theme is travel. Maybe there's a theme that is, virtual, scaling virtual. So perhaps there's a couple of themes. So I want you to see if you can get your three most important themes down on paper right now. Simple, okay? And now I want to tell you about the rule of three. So when I learned about this and started to implement it, and I learned about it from a mentor of mine, and he's very high level. He works with Tony Robbins, and he impacts literally millions of lives around the globe. And this is his process, and this is what he teaches in his masterminds. It's not his, it's not mine. This actually was derived way back from Benjamin Franklin. Think of Franklin Covey, all sorts of ways of, how do we show up each day and have a process for how we can actually achieve intentionally the outcomes that we desire in our business or our life. So the rule of three is a simple way to do this. I just ask you to take all of your different categories or themes or buckets and see if you could find the top three. Like if you could really achieve those three things, if you could travel, pretend, if you could travel more, if you could learn something new, if you could, what was the other one I had? I'm forgetting what I just said. Oh, scale virtually. Thank you, brain. If you could, and thank you, whoever just said that. If you could scale virtually, then, those three things, then those are the most important things to you. You're going to write them down because that becomes the big overarching goal then for the year. And then each month, it's not that you have to do an entire strategic plan. You get to just go, great. So from each month, what is my top three focus that's going to keep me focused with travel, keep me focused with going virtual, keep me focused with learning something new. And then that informs three things for the week and then three things for the day. I'm going to break this down further. I'm actually going to show you some examples. So stay with me. Keep watching because this actually, there's a book called Getting Results the Agile Way by J.D. Meyer that really kind of breaks this down. But think of it as if the rule of three becomes a tool if it resonates, if you choose to use it, if it makes sense to you. Okay, and if it doesn't, you might have a way that really works. That's awesome. This is just, again, a super simple way, 3-3-3, the rule of three. Rather than biting off more than you can chew, you just bite off three things. I mean, I don't know about you, but I often have an overloaded, overestimated to-do list of the things that I put down for myself to do in any given day. And when I don't achieve all those things, it can be pretty underwhelming. And I can sometimes almost feel like, gosh, am I not like, and you have a lot of things on your to-do list that you're not getting done, then it can also leave this feeling of all these things that are undone. And it's like you're never able to come up for air. There's always more, there's always more, there's always more. And that creates stress, that can create anxiousness and anxiety, that can create overwhelm, that can create sleeplessness. What does all that equate to? All of that stress in your system, it breaks down your health. It breaks down your physical and your cognitive function and ability to show up fully for your clients, for your community, for yourself, for your family, for all that matters to you. So the rule of three is just a super simple way to just get real with yourself. Quit overloading yourself. You already got enough on your plate. What are the three essential things? If you could just get three essential things done today, done this week, done this month, done this next year, what would those be? Okay, so it really just kind of, again, gives you a really great filtration system of how you can really look at the world. So I'm going to break this down in an example. I have this slide here for a moment because what I want you guys to know is, as we're about to now go into tactical practical, I'm going to give you a lot of examples of tools and ideas of how you can actually achieve your outcomes, because sometimes we know what we want, but we're not necessarily sure of how to fill in all the steps, or sometimes it feels like there's too many steps, and how do we really prioritize? So I'm going to reveal that to you in the rest of this webinar. Why I have this slide here is if you go over to my website, practiceimpactmasters.com, what you'll be able to see, I'm going to move me over here, is I've got a bunch of free resources right here. There's guidebooks, there's some trainings right here that you guys can see on everything from marketing and social media to gaining media attention, to business, to if you're wanting to learn some of the courses that we have over at Apeiron, and there's a whole guidebook on Precision Health Blueprint, Practice Blueprint. So there are free resources right here. And I'm also going to tell you, for some of you that might be ready for more than free resources and you actually want a strategic coach, you want a real strategic, 90-day map to accelerate, well, I'm going to tell you all about a really, really big gift that you're going to be able to access as we get later on in the website. So there you go. Okay. So, and it's literally, it's going to be good. So keep watching. All right, back to you. So now, how do we really bring this to life? How do we bring this to life in your business? You've got this big vision. I'm going to move my camera back over here. You've got your big vision. You know the things you want to achieve, but now what does that really look like in the day-to-day in your business? So the first thing that you should be familiar with as a business owner, whether you are a solopreneur or you have multiple locations and a big team underneath you, is that there's something in the land of business called your KPIs, key performance indicators. This is what are the things you need to measure, because what gets measured gets managed. If we're measuring it, we've got our eye on the prize, we have a scorecard. So think of your KPIs as your scorecard. And at first, you're going to have some bigger categories, and then under those, you're going to be able to identify a few key steps that will give you that information. Okay, so some foundational KPIs in just about any health and wellness business are going to be, of course, first and foremost, your revenue. Are you on target to produce the revenue that you want and need? So revenue is a huge marker of business success. Leads. How many new leads come into you each month that then ultimately convert into paying clients? How much does it cost you per lead? Are you strictly a word of mouth referral basis and it really doesn't cost anything because you've got so much goodwill in the community? Or are you newer and you're running ads and you're paying for booths and you're out there and you're paying for magazines, you're paying and you're paying and you're paying? How much does it cost per person that actually is a lead that then converts. So that's another KPI. How long they stay in care with you. Do they just do one thing with you, or do they then convert into the next opportunity, into the next? Do they enroll into your programs? Do they stay compliant all the way through your programs? Are people dropping out? If you do a lot of single services, are your books staying full? Do you have a lot of cancellations? Those are all how many people are being referred to you each month, how many new patients. These are all, or clients, KPIs. All right, so you can think about these and you can say, well, what are things that we are already measuring, or if you're not measuring anything in your business, then what of these are you ready to measure? Because this is what's going to allow you to know with certainty if you're actually on the path to achieve your goals for 2020. Now, for many of us, even if part of your vision is, I want to be on bigger stages, I want to be out in front of a larger audience, I want to leverage media, I want to see how can I write a book and then leverage media with that book and be more visible to more people. That may be one of your goals. Yet if we really think about that and I ask you, well, why do you want to do that? And you're going to say, well, of course I want to go help more people. And I go, of course you do. And there's always a money driver behind it too, right? So if we can start in our brick and mortar or in our current business model, even all the way to I want to scale virtual and I want to impact millions of lives, which is also fantastic. How do we have a recipe, a plan, a benchmark to understand our KPIs if we're on track financially to make that impact? Remember, you got to have a healthy financial business model so that you've got the funds and the resources and the stability that you need to be able to scale effectively. So it's a super, super simple equation, everybody. It's just this. It's what's the number? So we're just going to talk gross income. So how much money do you want to make by the end of 2020, either as a solo provider, right, or as a business? So even if you've got multiple team members, we're not trying to figure out how much they all need to produce right now. We're just going to go with a global to give you a jump off point. How much do you want your business or you as the individual solopreneur to generate by the end of 2020? Write that down. The next thing you ask yourself is, how many hours a week am I willing to work to produce that? Or am I working? Or is my team working? And then you're going to multiply that by how many weeks out of the year you work. So in this simple example, this coach said to me, hey, they came to work with me and they're like, Melissa, I want to make $250,000 this year. I said, great. And I'm like, okay, so how many hours on average are you working right now? And they're like, well, I'm working about 30 hours a week. And they had a brick and mortar. And I'm like, okay, great. How many weeks out of the year? And they're just like, well, with, Christmas break and a little summer vacation, I usually only take 2 weeks off. So about 50 weeks. I'm like, great. So we just did the simple math. 30 hours a week times 50 weeks over the course of the year is 1,500 hours. $250,000 divided by 1,500 hours comes out to $167 an hour. What that means, how this informs us, is every day now this coach has a real KPI, a real benchmark to know if they're winning. Am I generating $167 an hour for every hour my doors are open, that I'm working? If the answer is yes, they're winning. If the answer is no, they're losing. Oftentimes we don't look at this enough. We might look at our numbers once a month, and by then it's too late. It's like, man, how did we come up $3,000 shorter than we were last month? Or, man, why did we make $15,000 more this month? What was different? And we're not being proactive along the way. So when we know, this is what becomes really cool. There's a few ways this informs you as a business owner or as a coach, as a solopreneur, is that you get to say, okay, great. First of all, let me run my numbers. Remember, always use your data. Let me run my numbers and see what I've generated on average per hour for this past year in business. And let's hypothetically say that what you found out is you were making about $140 an hour versus $167 an hour. Well, that's not too far of a stretch. That's 27 extra, right? That's 27 extra dollars a day. That would be 20, 40, 60, 81 extra dollars a week. Now, 81 extra dollars a week, right? Now we multiply that out by 50. That extrapolates over time. That actually, $82 a week doesn't seem much, but now you take that by 4. Now we're getting closer to $400 a month. Now we take that over 12 months, right? Like we're talking several $1,000s of a deficit by the end of the year. But if we were just proactive now and we were able to kind of hedge that difference of that $27, now you can be strategic. Well, what do we need to do with what we're already doing? What services am I already selling? Do I want to either increase the price? Are things getting filtered in there that we're really not charging for? They're a lost leader, and maybe we need to just cut those out and only have our time spent on revenue generating activities, which is the answer is yes. So it becomes easy to say, how do we bump up our hourly by $27 versus how do we make, a couple extra $1,000, right? How do we do that for over the course of the year? So we're going to look in the bite-sized pieces. Now, the next thing this informs you is if you're running any kind of cash pay program, which I'm a huge advocate of, and if you're not doing that, just please reach out to me. You really should be shifting into cash pay programs. Another conversation for another time. This is going to tell you how much you should charge. So for example, super simple example, if you're running a program that you spend 10 hours in, you should at minimum be charging $1,670 because that's the hourly rate that you should be generating. However, let's say that you're selling that program for $1,000. If you keep selling that program for only $1,000 versus what you should be, you're at a deficit every single time. And every time you sell that program below what you should be, you're only hurting your own financial success. So when we know, we know. Now you are at choice. Now money doesn't become a stressor. You're just super educated about it. You have a really smart awareness about it, and you've got a way to measure yourself every day, every week, every month, so that by the end of 2020, you're really where you want to be. So I'm going to just kind of move through really quickly some of these tools that can help you to achieve these outcomes. So a big KPI, of course, is revenue. You now know how to look strategically at what you should be focusing on within your business, how much your team should be generating per hour, or you as an individual. Now, some other things that can help you immediately increase that revenue if you see that there's a gap is move to cash pay programs, increase prices, cut costs on or cut spending, cut the non-revenue producing services. And that may mean cutting back or letting some people go. It also may mean hiring new key team members. Instead of you trying to wear every hat and do everything, maybe it's time for you to get a VA. So I'd have you really write out a list of all your time zaps. Where are you zapping your time? Are you doing a lot of data entry? Are notes taking a long time? Are you researching things that somebody else could be doing for you, that you could task somebody on to enter the labs, to do research, to send out emails? Like, who's doing this stuff? Is it you? Anything that's a time zap, simply write it down, because that could become a job that either another team member could do, or if you're a solopreneur, it may be time to get a VA. Because the more you are zapping your time on non-revenue producing tasks, you got to work harder and you're more stressed out. So we want to create efficiency. Maybe it's time, you've got enough coming in that it's really time and you're ready to scale virtually and leverage that space, and you're ready to think about things like doing summits, and you're really ready to think about, again, doing a book and doing some big sales funnel campaigns. You're going to get leads. Maybe it's time to get a salesperson to take all those front end conversations to qualify and enroll people into your appropriate offer. So those are just some things, right? So these all become ways, and the customer experience is also a really great way to increase revenue. The greater the customer experience, the greater the likelihood that they will stay longer and they will refer more often. So this may be the perfect time to do what I call a critical eye tour, which is to you and your team walk through your business, every touch point of your business, from your website, your emails you're sending out, the way you guys answer the phone, the physical environment, the colors on the wall, the lighting overhead, the cleanliness, the organization. Go through every touch point, not as yourself, but as your ideal client. Imagine that and employ a few of your ideal clients. Imagine that you are looking through their eyes at your business, at that experience that they're having with your business. Is that a high touch experience? Is it a high end experience? Is it a warm and fuzzy experience? Is it a good experience, right? Or is it not? So that's going to inform a lot of some things that you may want to identify as immediate action items in that first quarter, that when you enhance that, that's going to enhance the overall experience. It's going to increase your bottom line. Okay. So next up, again, tools to grow. So maybe one of those KPIs, we're looking at lead generation. How do we consistently get leads first and foremost? So just consistently getting leads. And then how do we consistently get higher quality leads, right? So one of the tools that I love, and in the downloadable notes that I'll send to you guys afterwards, there's clickable links as we go throughout all this slide deck. But this is a really cool software system. It's called Sotellus. It's a 5-star software and referral system. It's normally a setup fee and $199 a month. They're doing a special for us on this end of the year webinar that is a setup fee and only $99 a month. And I was at an event several months ago, and I will tell you that there was at least a dozen doctors coming up to this booth unsolicited saying, this is the only tool I'm using. This tool has single-handedly tripled my business. Right, so I was just a bystander, and I was like, I need to know more about this, and then really started to look at it. It's a phenomenal software that will absolutely increase your online presence and social proof. It'll increase traffic to your website. It really fits a need for an affordable marketing tool that you can leverage really effectively in the virtual space, and it will send in referrals to you. Another way to grow, to get more clients, is to get out in your local community. Get out in front of your audience. Go network, go get on stages, find local stages, go to meetup.com, have some of your top clients, have them host a get together at their house, pay to have it dinner over there, or cocktails and appetizers, and do a presentation. Get out in front of your ideal clientele, because that will always produce, right? So instead of trying to market to the masses, get really intentional about your marketing and really strategically plan to get in front of your ideal client on a more regular basis. That'll increase the amount of clients, the type of clients, and the conversions and the cash flow. So it's all really good. Tools like leverage social media, gang, with content, lead magnets. Make sure you have a clear message that you repeatedly, consistently show up and share. And you can take that message, you can leverage it in talks and webinars and podcasts, in lives. You can drive people to a group. You can build your own tribe. And from there, you're building a relationship, rapport, and you can ultimately begin to give people offers from within your groups if you're using that online space. So again, remember, we all have a different vision for 2020. Some of you want to really maximize your brick and mortar, and you want to systematize, and you want to bring in some new key team members. Others of you have your brick and mortar really dialed in, and you're ready for more freedom, you're ready for more automation, and you're ready to scale virtually. And you need to focus on leveraging the virtual tools in a better and a more effective way. So not everything that I'm sharing with you is for everybody, and that's okay, right? So with all that's here, take what works, get rid of what doesn't, and it's all good either way. Another KPI is, numbers, like, where am I showing up? What's our reach? So maybe it's time, I want to go out and make a greater impact, but it's time, if you really want to go out and compete in this digital space, you got to step up. Remember, who do you need to be to accomplish this? So maybe you need to be, right, have your brand refreshed, your personal image. Maybe it's time to go out and get new photography. Maybe it's time to go out and update really kind of how you're presenting. So it's not just about you being the doctor or you being the expert. People want your knowledge. People can Google and get knowledge. That's not what people want. What is trending, what is real, what people want is authenticity. They want to be able to have connection with you. And so we know that video is king. We know that photography is right underneath that. And what we see with some of the top brands is they've just got a really beautiful, right, photographic presence, their imagery that they're using. So maybe that's something. Maybe it's time for a book. Maybe it's time for bigger stages, podcasts and summits, and maybe you're going to look to use apps that will support you, your business, and or your clients. So there are a lot of things, and I'm going to tell you guys, especially in this category, let me go back. I absolutely, if you're interested in anything on this page specifically, I want you to reach out to me. If you're like, I'm interested in this and I need support with this, I need the exact way, I absolutely want you to go to practiceimpactmasters.com, go to the contact us, and just fill that out. That will, and say, I watched Dr. Melissa's webinar. I want to increase my reach in 2020. I specifically want to learn how to write a book. I specifically want to learn how to get on bigger stages. Because what we have in our network is we've either got vetted and trusted relationships with the experts that are over that, and I can get you into the right hands and I can refer you over. I can get you connected with resources, and or we may have some very specific trainings or support systems that can help you as well. So just reach out to me, and I'll just go to practiceimpactmasters.com, and you can put in that contact form and just tell me exactly what you're interested in, and I can direct you. Okay, my team and I can absolutely get you directed. Maybe it's time to automate. Maybe it's time to leverage some of these virtual tools. You're looking for a better, kind of client software platform for client management or EHR, email management systems, apps that can, again, interface with that client experience, because it's all about experience for the customer. So what are you doing to go beyond where you've been? You want to be somewhere different at the end of 2020. So the clients that you serve, where do you imagine that they want to be by the end of 2020? How can you up-level what you're bringing, what you're sharing, the experience that you're providing, that both gets you to where you want to go as well as them, right? We're doing great, gang. So we're just about ready to close it out. So stay with me. So we started off with, what do you want in 2020? First, celebrate your wins from this year. Celebrate your wins and your losses and everything you gained from them. And really, when you get to that point of celebration, this is the condensed version. You get to that point of celebration and you're going to say, thank you, and more of this, please. More of these gains, more of these wins, more of this abundance, more of this joy, more of this gratitude, more of this appreciation, more of this connection, more of this community, more. Yes, please, thank you, and more of this. More of this in 2020 and beyond. So that's step one. So we're riding that good positive wave of momentum. And now we're going to take that right into asking the question and doing a mind map of, what do I want? So a yes, please, to more of this. And now what is it that I want more of? More specifically, what do I want? What are some of the things that are important to me to experience, to be a part of in 2020? And then you wrote that down. And we went through a couple of different ways. It's success leaves clues. What's already working? What's already winning? What's already feeling good? That you're like, yes, 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 and more of this, please. So you write all of that stuff down. And then I asked you to lump it into themes or categories or buckets, right? So you could start to bring a little organization that you can then, so once you have things in themes and buckets, and it's a little bit more manageable, and then that also allows you to prioritize, and I am going to show you a quick prioritization system here in a moment, but it allows you to prioritize. And then finally, from there, I said, see if you could pick three, the rule of three, right? 3 overarching outcomes for the year that then inform your 3 big things you need to focus on for the month, the 3 big things you need to focus on for the week, and the 3 big things you need to focus on each day. So it simplifies it. Listen, I don't do this every single day. Some days I forget, okay? However, it's like, again, if we can at least get that 80-20 principle, you hit this 80% of the time and you win 80% of the time, the outcomes that you're going to create by the end of 2020 are going to be absolutely stunning. So an example, the rule of 3. So for my year, I knew I wanted to automate all the content that I had in a more effective way. With Apeiron, we are expanding into new global markets. So that's part of my expansion, was kind of one of my outcomes. And then personal. So I put passion projects, and I would really almost more say purpose-driven self-care in a way. So to be really intentional about more things that feed me, that give back to me, that fill me up, because I give out a lot. So I needed one of my rules of 3, one of my focuses to be about giving back to myself and saying yes to things that fill me up. That's kind of what that bucket meant. So then I go, okay, so what do I need to do this month that allows me to align with my big focus for the year? So for the automation, I was like, oh, my impact media training program. I need to change out a little bit of the content, get it onto this new platform. So my goal for the month is to focus on that program as a whole and everything that needs to be updated, changed, facilitated with that. My goal for the month with the Puron is we needed to look at the curriculum within the academy. We're updating the curriculum, and then my kind of my personal project is, again, just be, right, kind of be, giving myself time to be, and there's a book and all this that goes with it. So then I get to say, well, then what do I do for the week? Okay, well, for this week, I've got to go through the content. For this week, I'm going to look at content in the academy. For this week, I want to just get clear on what the bee ecosystem is. Then for the day, I'm like, oh, today I'm going to create my media lead magnet. Today, I'm going to look at the nutrition content in the academy. Today, I'm just going to set up the Facebook group. Okay, so that's, now there's just 3 things. And I know, oh, I can get these done on top of everything else I'm doing. Done, simple, easy. Like, that informed my day, and I didn't overload myself. So this just gives you, again, it's a process. Use it if it makes sense. It's going to help you to prioritize any incoming actions. It allows you, if you do get distracted, which happens to all of us, just to really have a filtration or focus system of how you can anchor back and anchor up to those outcomes, and simply just say, is this a revenue producing or is this an outcome producing activity? Is this in alignment with what I'm really wanting to focus on and achieve for myself this year, this month, this week, this day? Okay? And here's one more tool. I call it the decision-making matrix. Let's say you have a lot of things that you're just like, Melissa, they all feel really big to me. They all feel really important. I'm still not sure how to prioritize. So in essence, you would put down kind of where you're at, where do you want to be, and you put down all the different ideas, all the different things that you're thinking you want to focus on, the actions, the outcomes. So you put them all down here, and then you're going to write for each of them, how much time is that going to take, as best as you can guess. How much is that going to cost, as best as you can guess? What kind of profit is that going to generate for you, as best as you can guess? And then how's that going to impact? How's that going to impact your business or your focus, your outcome, your goal, and how excited or passionate are you about it? So when you give everything a scale of 1 to 10 number, 10 being the best, and you come through, all of a sudden, let me go to the next slide, you're going to be able to see, here are some examples, like, oh, I could raise prices, I can see more clients, like how much time, it's not going to take me any time to raise prices, 0 cost, immediate profit, super high impact, I feel a little weird about it, so I give them a 7. All right, see more clients, well, that means I'm going to have to add in more hours and adjust my time, so that's going to take at least 10 more hours, time away from my family, I don't really want to do that, but it is going to increase and give me an additional X amount of profit. Yeah, the impact isn't quite as great as just raising prices. You see what I did? So I'm able to quantify, and then you can actually make a very informed decision. This is just leveraging the information and the data, friends. That's all this is. So now, as we come to the close of this, I've got a few more things for you, so don't go away yet. You're going to like this. It's really about going, great, I have a vision, and I just want you to get out ahead of it. It's okay if you don't stick with it every day. It's okay if the rule of 3 doesn't fit for you. But what we've gone through in this webinar today is really a process that if you choose to engage with it, and that's all it is, it's choice, if you choose to engage with it, will align your focus to the outcomes you want to achieve so that you can allow yourself to take inspired, consistent action. And, again, if we're not aware, if we're not tuning in and checking in on a frequent basis, then we can get way away from where we want to be. And it can feel like this huge gap of, man, how did I get over here? And how did I get distracted? And how did that? And then we start coulda, woulda, shoulda ourselves, and then that's a big old mess. And that doesn't feel good. It's okay to feel great. It's okay to accomplish and celebrate all that you're gaining from all that you're giving and receiving every day. So set your plan, and then a simple way to approach it is at the end of each month, kind of review the month you just had and kind of take inventory and celebrate that, right? Celebrate all you gained from all that awareness, and then you set your big 3 for the upcoming month. At the end of each week, same thing, you review your week and you set your big 3 for the following week. At the end of each day, and this is really important, I think it's almost better to set your big 3 at the end of the day versus the beginning. At the end of the day, celebrate what you experienced and achieved that day. And even any setback or loss, what did you gain from it? Did you gain awareness that you're overtasking yourself, you're spreading yourself too thin? That's nothing to be ashamed of. That's just a moment of choice. Now you're more informed and empowered to make better choices for yourself. So you celebrate at the end of each day, and then you set your next 3 for the next day. It's a simple way that you have to check in so that you now have a way to show up for yourself in a more consistent and reliable way. And this also allows you just to have score, keep score. Some days they're going to be off, and that's okay. But if out of 365 days, if you're not actively keeping score and checking in with yourself, and all of a sudden, kind of in hindsight, you look back, you do an end of year review and go, oh my gosh, I lost 200 days. 200 of the days I could have, would have, should have out of the 365. You got way off track. But if you're proactive, right, you're aligned with your heart and your soul, and it's okay if things change along the way too. But then you're set to win. You're set to achieve the outcomes that matter to you. So cast your vision, do your mind map, focus on your big 3, watch your business and your life transform. So now listen, I have a gift for you. I told you guys. So there's a few gifts. If you're just not sure where to start, my gift to you is a strategy call with me, a free 20-minute strategy call with me. Okay, that I will sit down, I will talk with you, I'll listen to you. Where are you at? Where do you want to be after going through this? And what are the tactical, practical ways? What's available to you that we can fast track you to that? So just come right over here to Practice Impact Masters, to my website, and just really simple, guys, just go over to the Contact Us form. And if you do know what you need, and you go to Practice Impact Masters, first of all, every product in our store, from one-on-one coaching to DIY media getting programs and brand photography and media kits, everything is on sale, like huge holiday sale. And because you've watched this, you get a code that nobody else has access to. It's not posted anywhere on my website, which is holiday20. You will get an extra 20% off of anything in the shop right now. Anything in that store that you see that you want, you apply the code holiday20 and you're going to get an extra 20% off. This is going on through the holiday season. So it's my gift to you. Thank you for showing up. And again, you're not sure where you want to start. You're not sure if you need to buy anything. So go over to the site. There are free resources, and you can get a free 20-minute strategy call with me right now, just over the next 10 days. Once the holidays are here, I'm closing down and I'm taking the rest of the year off with my family. So let's get you on my books right away. I'm super happy to support you. And anything you see in that shop, you want to get an extra 20% off, just use the holiday 20 code. So listen, success loves speed, and it's all about you gaining the clarity that you need to make confident, clear decisions with certainty. And that's what's going to set you up for your most amazing and transformative year in 2020 and beyond. I'm so grateful that you spent this time. Thank you. I hope you got a lot of value out of this. If there's any questions that kind of are percolating, again, practiceimpactmasters.com. Go ahead and just contact us, ask me any questions, request that complimentary strategy session. If you need that 20-minute breakthrough, you need to shake the dirt off the roots and just have absolute certainty. Anything you need, my team and I are here to support you, because I know that you are here with a big mission and the world needs you. So now is your time, my friend, to truly go out and make your impact. Thanks so much for tuning in. What a pleasure. Take care.